Okay, well, let's get this show on the road. And I want to say welcome to everybody. I'm so glad to have you all here at our first meeting here. And it seemed to me, I want to first remind everybody that the plenary is being recorded. And if you don't want your face to be shown, why, please just turn off the video in the corner of your screen. The video and the slides, any materials are going to be posted on our website as soon as possible on our under WAVE programs and then archive of WAVE events. So you'll be able to find everything online. And I think we should start out by really patting ourselves on the back and congratulating ourselves, because I think that villages really proved their worth last year. I mean, granted, it wasn't quite as deep and dark a crisis as the year before, but still, there were a lot of worries. And I think that there was a very careful reopening of a lot of in-person programs and services. On the other hand, there was still a high level of Zoom programming so that people who were at risk could participate and stay safely connected. So my wish to all of us for 2023 is that we have a very positive year and we're able to come together to support each other. That's sort of our motto. Villages, growing our villages by learning from each other. Thank you for the agenda there. So as you can see, we have a pretty full agenda, and you'll get more information about the breakout sessions a little later, right after the plenary. And I want to let you know that we will adjourn directly from the breakout sessions and we will not reconvene. And now, as we're getting started at the very beginning, I would like the current board, current up until the moment of our elections, to all identify yourselves with a hand wave and say your name and your village name, your name and your village name. And why don't we do it alphabetically by state? Have all the DC people go first, followed by Maryland. And I'm sorry, Virginia, but then anybody in Virginia, well, you would come up afterwards. So people, our board members from DC, please say your name and your village and introduce yourself.
I'm Denise Lucero with DuPont Circle Village.
I'm Denise Snyder with Foggy Bottom West End Village, and I'm also on the board of a Maryland Village.
I'm Kathy Pointer with the Kingdom Care Senior Village.
I'm Pat Whitty. I'm with the Cleveland and Woodley Park Village.
Okay, we're only asking at this point for board members, not all participants, but thank you. It's nice to meet you.
I'm the co-chair of the board.
Oh, are you? Oh,
Cleveland and Woodley Park Village.
Okay, of our wave board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So how about the Maryland board members?
Yeah.
This is Leila Riazi, and I'm with Cheverly Village.
This is Lori Carlson. I'm with the Commission Maryland of the Montgomery County Commission on Aging.
I'm Mary Jo Deering, and I have been with the Wingate and Maplewood Neighbors Helping Neighbors Village, but president of WAVE. And I think, and how about our Virginia Village board members?
I'm Dave Prescott with Mount Vernon at Home.
Teal Garrett with At Home in Alexandria.
And I'm Carolyn
Wendy
Rourke.
Zenker. Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm Carolyn Rourke with Low Lake of the Woods, Virginia.
And I'm Wendy Zenker with Arlington Neighborhood Village, and I should be used with Z as my last name to always going last.
And from Virginia, no less. That's too bad. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this is our business. We have this is our formal business meeting, the only business meeting of the year, and we're going to just quickly go through secretaries and treasurers reports and then get on to our elections. So next slide. Oh, yeah, next slide, please. But before we actually jump into the business side of it, I just wanted to remind people a little bit of who and what, what is WAVE. And I think you should know that we're an umbrella organization. We ourselves are an all volunteer organization. Our board of directors, which is 12 to 13 people, does all of the work of running the organization, including the website and the communications. But we really, really value help from anyone on almost everything. And so we hope that you will put into the chat or contact us in some other way to let us know if you'd like to participate. So we're very pleased with the fact that while we had 47 members last year, we're setting a record for early participation this year with 28 members as of, I think, Saturday. And for all I know, 1 or 2 more have joined so far. So, next slide, please, the treasurer's report. Wendy, you want to give us that quickly?
Sure. First of all, before I give the numbers on the screen, I just want to thank Dave Prescott, who, no matter who the treasurer is of WAVE, Dave is sitting there doing all of the operational work in terms of deposits in our bank account and checking the mailbox. So this is a joint effort between Dave and whoever the official treasurer is. But if you look at our report here, you can see we opened 2022 with a balance of 12,159, and we closed with almost an equal balance of 12,449. Income comes mostly from membership dues, but we did get an award from Montgomery County to help us pull up and bring up the new WAVE website. We've got individual donations, and I'd note that all the board members have donated to WAVE. And because of those board member donations, we also got a matching grant from the Home Instead Charities. Expenses are what you would expect. They were related to the website. We've purchased for the first year director and officers insurance. We have some business expenses related to our meetings. And this year we were able to sign 2 checks to the 2 villages who received the Founders Award. This report is also up on our website, and if anybody needs additional information, I'd be happy to provide it.
Thank you very much. Well, I just want everybody to focus on that huge number of 12449.77. We are a lean machine. Next slide, please. Okay, now Dave, you want to give the membership report?
Sure. As far as I'll do the communications as well. That's what I do as the communicating secretary. I send out all the emails, and indeed our membership hopefully responds to those emails as necessary. I think Carolyn sent out the invoices, but I send out all the communications. I also check our WAVE site email, and of course Carolyn checks it as well. So we see payments that are paid online. I check the mailbox, as Wendy said, and I see all the checks that come in. So far, of the 28 this year, 18 have paid by check and 10 have paid by online PayPal, and so we're doing real well. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer any of them. If you respond to any of my emails that I go out, I'll be glad to respond that way. Or you can certainly send an email. Any way that's easy.
Yeah, you can put your email into the chat, and I'll have some our general email address as a reminder at the end. And by the way, I want everybody, as I do the slides coming up, in red, I have put all of the links to materials that we're covering on that topic. We have a lot of stuff on our website, and so you can always go to the website. I do want to say that we have 3 brand new villages and 1 new innovative organization that have joined this year. We have Fairfax Village in the city. We have Golden Age Village in Baltimore. We have Here to Stay in Wintergreen. And we have the Vertical Village Alliance. So if all of you are on this Zoom call, why don't you put your names and contact information into the chat in case anybody would like to follow up with you. Next slide, please. Okay, at this point, since I'm up for election myself, I'm going to turn the chair over to our very fine Vice President, Kathy Pointer, who leads the Kingdom Care Village in DC. Kathy?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for attending this morning. As Mary Jo just said, my name is Kathy Pointer. I'm Vice President of the WAVE Board. And at this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to the Chair of our Governance Committee, Layla Riazi, to present the nominees for the WAVE Board. Layla?
Thank you so much, Kathy. Let me pull up some information. And we are brand new as far as our governance committee. So this, what you're seeing here, governance committee members include Denise and also include Ava. And what we have done in preparation here, and I think I'm trying to see if the screen shows, no, it does not yet show. We have prepared a slate
Right?
of board members. And in that slate, we have the opportunity for 3 new board members that will fill out the slate to full for WAVE for the first time, all the way to 13 members. You'll see the potential 13th member listed as well. So 3 of our members are coming forward to run for their first term. Others are returning. And I would like to offer each member of the slate an opportunity to speak just a sentence or two. And I'm not sure that Leo has been able to join us. So if he doesn't respond, then I will read a sentence from his bio. And so if we could start with Ava.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ava Lucero, and I am the director of the DuPont Circle Village. It's a role I have been in for the last 7 years. DCV is one of the large villages with close to 300 members, and I'm honored to be part of WAVE, an organization growing the village movement in our region.
Thank you. And then moving on to our next. So Denise, please.
Denise, you're muted.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that she was still muted.
Denise?
Sorry, I missed what you want me to address.
Just a sentence or two to introduce yourself, since you are looking to run for your final term on as a WAVE board member.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed being on the WAVE board because I am on the board of a Maryland village and work at a DC village. It really helps give me a very rounded perspective of the metro area villages, and I'm honored to be able to continue serving.
Thank you, Denise. And moving on from Denise to Leo, is Leo in the Zoom with us?
Leo is a tutor, a bilingual tutor, every Monday morning. And he has a standing commitment. And of course, our meeting was scheduled many months before he was nominated. So he's doing good work. Well, not here.
And understanding that and that he has not been able to join us, I will just give a couple of sentences. That he's been a member of the Mount Pleasant Village for about 5 years, and in the past 2 years, an active member of the board of directors. He's also worked with the Capitol Hill Village, representing Mount Pleasant on LGBTQ+ programs and deliverables, such as the Intergenerational Symposium, a DC village-wide pride celebration, and a toolbox designed to assist area villages to reach out to LGBTQ neighbors.
Hello.
So,
this is Bob Hoffman, a part of the Mount Pleasant Village, and I'm familiar with a lot of the work that Leo does. I just want to point out one of the new things he's done is we have an end-of-life discussion group, and he did a beautiful presentation on the meaning and the future of Dia de los Muertos. So he's bringing cultural diversity to the Mount Pleasant Village.
Perfect. And he's just texting in now, and I'm letting him know that he has many people speaking up for him. So thank you so much for that. And then turning to Mary Jo.
Well, thank you. I started a village in Maplewood some years ago, and then I moved on to join the board of WAVE. And I've been very pleased to be the board president for the last couple of years, and have appreciated learning so much about villages around the region. And I'm looking forward to continuing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. And moving Elizabeth. And Elizabeth is eligible to run for her first term on the board of directors.
Hi, thanks. Yes, I'm Elizabeth Hale. I'm the executive director of Bethesda Metro Area Village. which celebrated its 5th anniversary last year. And WAVE was invaluable to us as we were developing, and has continued being so valuable for us and everybody else in the area. So I'm happy to run for the board and be able to participate, skills that I can bring. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Moving on to Seal.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Seal Garrett. I have been at home in Alexandria, here in Alexandria, Virginia, for the past 10 years, serving as executive director. And I know that WAVE has been invaluable to me and to my village, especially in my early years of learning about the culture of villages and the value and some of the practical aspects that that we all learn, we can learn from one another and learning how to run our villages. So it's been my honor to serve on the board for the past 4 years, and I would be happy to serve for another term.
Thank you, Seal. And moving on to David.
I'm Dave Prescott. I'm with Mount Vernon at Home. I was a charter member of Mount Vernon at Home. I joined in 2010. I have been the WAVE webmaster for our previous WAVE site. I helped get that going, and right now I'm corresponding secretary.
Thank you, David. And Carolyn?
Thank you, Layla. My name's Carolyn Rourke. I'm with the village Low Link, which is the woods living independently in our community. We are in the Piedmont of Virginia, and I've been involved with our village since we launched in 2016. I did serve as the board president from 2019 to 2020. And I'm running for my second term on the WAVE board, and I am the current recording secretary. It's been such a pleasure to have been associated for the past 2 years with such a dedicated group of village leaders, and I'm looking forward to another 2 years.
Thank you very much, Carolyn. And Wendy?
Wendy Zenker. I'm the executive director of Arlington Neighborhood Village. I've been here for 5 years. Our village has been around. I think we're entering our 9th year. It's just been a great pleasure to learn from WAVE colleagues and to have an opportunity to pay it forward.
Thank you, Wendy. And eligible to run for his first term on the WAVE Board of Directors, Doug Gaddis.
Hi, my name is Doug Gaddis, and I'm the executive director at Silver Spring Village, where I have been for almost 3.5 years. My entire career has been spent working in the nonprofit sector with small organizations, but also national organizations with budgets of between $25 and $30 million. So I've seen a lot of things happening in nonprofits. And one of my first experiences with WAVE, and the thing that really convinced me that being on the board would be the right thing, is how collaborative the organization was in developing the shared events site. And that was just a really great signal for what an organization like WAVE really can do to make a difference.
Beautiful. Thank you, Doug. And so in presenting this slate, what WAVE really is committed to doing is balancing geographic representation. You'll see that we have members from Maryland, DC, and Virginia who have stepped forward to serve, representation of different village models from all volunteer villages to villages with paid staff. Greater equity and inclusion, which is a goal of all of our member villages, and that we're a working board. So each person who stepped forward, we, as Mary Jo said before, none of us are paid. All of us are invested in many other things, and we all bring our efforts together to be able to do more as WAVE to serve our member villages. And happy to bring on the skill sets and commitments that'll help us continue to strengthen our service to villages overall. So the governance committee, Kathy, turning to you, we're happy to offer this slate as presented, and with the approval of, by consensus of the WAVE member villages, we will have a great board of directors for 2023. So turning this to you, Kathy, for calling for a vote by consensus.
Thank you, Layla, for the presentation of the slate. And before I call the vote, I just want to pause for a few minutes to share with all of you that WAVE is actively inviting greater involvement from our member villages. We invite you to consider serving on committees, becoming a mentor village, just to learn more about what we're doing, because we realize that we need all of us to make WAVE the great organization that it is. And we want to continue to be of great support to villages in our region. So we are stretching that net out and asking all of you to consider being a part of WAVE in some way. You don't have to be president of the board. You don't have to be executive director to contribute to the work of WAVE. We are a great organization and we can continue to do that and be that with your support. Thank you again, Layla, for the presentation of the nominees. So calling for the vote now, all those who approve of the slate as presented, let it be known, if you will, by a show of hands. If you'll just show your hands, and we'll do a quick look through. Great, 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 great. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Are there any nays? Are there any nays? Great, we appreciate that. With no nays, the yays carry. Let's say congratulations to all of our new board members. Can we clap, clap, clap for our board for the coming year? So thank you all for participating in this portion of our elections. Layla will now present the nominee for president of the board. Layla?
Yes, for president of the board of directors, the governance committee is putting forward for consideration Mary Jo Deering, and I'd like to offer Mary Jo the opportunity to speak.
Well, as I've said, it has been really a pleasure and an honor to be the president of WAVE. WAVE is an evolving organization, but it has evolved through the contributions of so many people with different skills and different interests and different perspectives. And as I'm sure you all know, it's that variety of ideas that makes an organization strong. We did some new things last year that I'll be talking about in a minute, and we hope to do some more new things this year. But again, it can't be done without you, and we look forward to working with you, and I'm very honored to be considered for continuing on as your president.
Thank you, Mary Jo. And we do bring our board president up for selection in this meeting. The other officer positions we will address in our first board meeting. So just to explain why we're bringing forward for consideration the board president at this time. And turning to you, Kathy, presenting candidate Mary Jo Deering for president for the board of directors of WAVE.
Thank you so much again, Layla, for that. We do, as Layla just said, we want to present Mary Jo Deering as president of the board. And again, with a consensus vote by raise of hand, would you let us know if you approve of Mary Jo as our president? Great. Thank you so much. Scrolling through, we appreciate your participation. Are there any nays? Any nays? If no nays, the yays carry. And again, we present Ms. Mary Jo Deering as our president of the board for WAVE. And I just want to take a few minutes to thank Mary Jo for her leadership over the past few years. She's demonstrated a level of commitment, resilience, and strong passion for the work of WAVE in villages. What I really love about her, she gets the work done, she drives the work. It can be anytime Mary Jo's going to get it done. And we really appreciate you, Mary Jo, for what you've done. I've been a part of the WAVE board for a couple of years, and just to see WAVE continue to grow and offer support for villages has been phenomenal. Certainly a great help to me at the Kingdom Care Senior Village. So thank you, Mary Jo. Can we congratulate Mary Jo for another term as board president of WAVE?
And Kathy, to note that in the chat, Barbara Sullivan from a Village to Village Network noted that, which we have in our notes as well, that WAVE is the largest regional group in the village movement. And with that note, she's given congratulations to our new board of directors.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, Layla. Thank you all for participating in our elections, and we'll turn this back over to Mary Jo.
Thank you very much, Kathy. That was very well handled, and I appreciate your vote of confidence. And I can say I speak on behalf of all of our new boards that we are really looking forward to a terrific year, which will be made terrific by what we do with you, not to you. Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. So a little bit about what we did and where we're going.
Enter your meeting.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened last year. For those of you who weren't there, this is our pat ourselves on the back segment of the program. So we had 4 quarterly meetings, as we do each year, and each of them is very rich with a plenary and breakout sessions. The one on strategic planning offered some really important information about how strategic planning is different from operational planning and pitfalls and what to plan for. The one on financial best practices recognized that nonprofits with volunteers and limited staff and budgets have a hard time perhaps rising to more sophisticated levels of financial management, but there are tools available for villages of all sizes. Insurance is always the big issue, and managing risks. And we have that program went through some of the key issues to consider. And finally, our much admired Kathy Pointer led an innovative faith-based outreach effort to try and reach vulnerable seniors and make them aware of the village concept. Again, you can see all the materials are available on our archive of WAVE events. Next slide, please. And last year we started our various mentoring programs. I should have mentioned that the quarterly meetings are always open to everybody, as our Zoom programs. And we call some programs our mutual support program, because they usually focus on operational problems or things that can really strengthen the leadership and management and operation of villages. We reimagine volunteers. People too often think that they're only for driving people somewhere or giving a service, but we all depend on volunteers to help plan and execute or lead a variety of other activities in our villages. Surveys can be valuable both if you're starting out or if you want to sort of get some feedback on how you're doing as you need to go to the next level. And surveys can be very useful. We have sample surveys on our website under resources. Chris Palmer led one of our highest subscribed sessions on creating and leading discussion groups on aging, death, and dying. The Bethesda Metro area program has been going on for years, and we're going to learn more a little bit about this topic and how WAVE will be looking at it in a moment. Queen Anne's out on the Eastern Shore has a wonderful planning tool, and which also includes 3 to 4 workshops to help older adults create a plan. And again, you can find all the materials from these sessions on our archives page. Would somebody please, next one, please. And then our one-on-one mentoring is only open to WAVE villages, but also to startups. Startup villages don't need to pay dues for their first year anyway. So you can see the array of services that we have in our mentorship program. One thing to know is that while most of the mentoring will be done by members of our villages, not just WAVE members, but by villages that we know might have that expertise. But we have an agreement with the Village to Village Network, whereby they will forward to us any mentoring requests from a village that does fall in our region. And then in the reverse, if we don't have the bench strength, so to speak, to address a particular issue that someone needs mentoring on, we can go back to Village to Network that will and find a mentor in their wider pool of resources. Next slide, please. as you can imagine, the mentoring really is much appreciated. And I will say that this, it's not just the information, it's also the morale reinforcement, and getting a boost. I think we can all appreciate that. I mean, certainly our mentoring program is well worth the $35 fee. Next program, and the next slide, please. So last year, we also launched the WAVE Founders Award. That is in honor of WAVE's founders, Virginia Hodgkinson, Miriam Kelty, who is deceased, and Andy Mollison, who is deceased. I wonder, is Virginia here? Is she on the? Virginia, if you're here, would you just wave your hand and say hi? Does anyone see if Virginia Hodgkinson is on? Well, I'm calling on her because she very generously funded the first year of the award, and she's a major supporter of the 2023 award, along with board members. I do encourage you to consider applying for this award for completed work done in 2022. The applications are open. You'll find information and the application on our website at that address. And I do encourage you, even if you're not planning to apply, go to that page if you haven't, to see the amazing projects that were completed and that were submitted there. So again, we certainly hope to get many other excellent submissions this year. Next one. Next slide. So what's coming? Well, again, for the first three of these items, we really need your feedback on our survey so that we can plan the programming. I'll say a little bit more about that survey in just a moment. But all of the quarterly meetings, the mutual support Zoom sessions, the special speaker series are all open to anyone. The joint WAVE and V2V in-person mini conference is tentatively set for the 17th and 18th in Silver Spring in person. There will be details to follow, so just maybe put that in your calendars right now. And then we are very excited to announce a new Finishing Strong award. Chris Palmer and his wife, Gail Shearer of Bethesda Metro Village, are generously supporting another new award, the Finishing Strong Award. I'm going to ask Chris, and again, it will be open to WAVE member villages. I've asked Chris to just say a little bit about that award and of the preparations that we'll engage in to help people get ready to apply. Chris, are you there?
I am. Mary Jo, thank you so much. I'm so happy to do this. And I want to recognize Seal and Layla on the call. Layla Reyes and Seal Garrett, they were so helpful to Gail and me as we shaped this award. So Seal and Layla, thank you. We're going to relaunch this award, the Finishing Strong Award, in September. The goals of this award are to encourage more conversations and discussions about end-of-life issues and create programs that village participants and members feel directly benefit them. WAVE member villages will be eligible to submit proposals for activities to help achieve those goals. My wife Gail and I have raised the award from $3,000 to $5,000 because we feel that helping village members and participants age well and achieve a good death is so important. It's a big topic too. It includes advance directives, death cleaning, ethical wills, writing memoirs, avoiding over-medicalization, hospice care, VSEDs, voluntary stopping eating and drinking, MAID, medical aid in dying, death doulas, green burials, funeral planning, and much, much more. We believe many older people have a powerful thirst for information about death and dying issues. Despite living in a death-denying society, they welcome having serious conversations with others on these sensitive issues. There is an abundance of books, videos, websites, and other information sources on death and dying. However, what seems to be missing is tangible support for individuals. This is where villages can be so powerful. They are structured to help and support older people in their communities. There's any number of approaches villages might take. For example, they might use workshops, outside speakers and consultants, one-on-one coaching, buddy systems, blogs, handouts, retreats, or other tools or mechanisms to reach out to their members and participants. We hope the Finishing Strong Award will encourage proposals with replicable and scalable ideas that can be readily copied or adapted by other villages. And of course, we welcome proposals from villages of all sizes. I will be giving workshops in March, May, and June to help village leaders, members, and participants develop meaningful program activities in the areas of aging, death, and dying. These workshops will also help individuals with steps they can take to achieve a good end of life. We hope these workshops will help WAVE member villages develop programs that can be submitted for funding by the WAVE Finishing Strong Award this fall. Thank you so much. Mary Jo, back to you.
Well, and thank you, Chris. It is truly a very generous offer to help jumpstart discussions and programs about a very vital topic that, however uninterested or afraid people may be of that topic, it's one which I know, like you, people do think about. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to help them, Chris. Okay, next slide, please. We're winding up here. So what are our goals for 2023? Well, the WAVE board held its first ever retreat in October, and we came up with some very high level goals. These are going to be refined by our new board, and then we'll develop specific plans for reaching them. But I just wanted to tell you the direction that we're going. So there are 3 areas. There's 2 on this slide and 1 on the next. The first broad area is to be a known and respected source of information for a variety of audiences, villages, individuals, and you can see the range of audiences and information and resources that we would like to have on our make available. We want to support villages in our region. We'll continue our mentoring. The various programs that we have are meant to help you. And we are going to be discussing, the possibility of a toolkit or some other type of package to help villages. Next slide, please. And then our third goal is to be a source and promoter of collaboration. Collaboration is really going to be a big theme this year. And our plenary panel, which is going to follow very shortly, is going to highlight a variety of ways in which villages are working together or need to work together to create new partnerships. Next slide, please. So a few reminders. Please, please, please complete our survey on villages priorities. It's on our website. I think there's a banner right up on top. We need to hear from you in order to create programs that help you. I'm going to ask Wendy to talk about the seminar on advanced evidence-based programming. Wendy?
Thanks, Mary Jo. We sent out an email. We'll be sending out more reminders, but on Tuesday, January 31st, we have an opportunity to do a seminar on evidence-based programming for older adults. Kathy Cameron from the National Council on Education is going to be joining our local Marymount University to offer this seminar. Seminar is going to be 2 pieces. One will be obviously hybrid. It'll be online Zoom. Everyone can join. That portion of the seminar will go from 10 to 11:30. But we also have the opportunity to meet in person from 11:30 to 1. And that in-person meeting, we'd like to have 1 representative from each WAVE village join the in-person meeting. Of course, it's subject to your feeling comfortable being doing an in-person meeting, but that will be at Marymount University, where we had our conference 3 years ago. So just an opportunity to get together in person, sit down with each other, talk about issues that are important to us, and just reconnect after 3 years. So again, 2 pieces, an online seminar that'll go from 10 to 11:30, and then an in-person meeting for about 45 villages at Marymount. We'll send out a reminder to register for these events, but we really hope to see everybody. Thanks, Mary Jo.
Thanks very much. And the registration link is directly available through our shared calendar. And finally, just another reminder that applications are due March 6th for our Founders Award. And we really hope to hear from many villages. I think, again, the examples that are already on the page there can spark your interest in the types of programs that you might, that you have done last year, and see how you could write them up and describe them. And finally, next slide. So what can you do to help WAVE? Well, of course, join WAVE. We've told you we think this is the best bargain in town. So please, if your village is not a member or you haven't renewed your membership, please join. Please consider being a mentor. I think there are people out there on this Zoom session right now. You have a lot of skills, and if you go to our mentoring page, there's a sign-up sheet that you can go to. Also, that's where you can go if you want to request a mentor, by the way. And finally, please participate in our collaborative programming advocacy. You can put your name in the chat, or next slide, please. Here, you can email us at washingtonareavillages@gmail.com. You can email me personally. And there's some other reminders, our website and the Village to Village Network's website. So that's all for the preliminary part of our session today. And I'm now going to turn it over to Seal Garrett, the Executive Director of At Home in Alexandria, who has led our program committee and done a really fine piece of work, not only with this, but some of our 2022 programs as well. Take it away, Seal.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Hey, look at us. We're pretty much on schedule. Nice job, Mary Jo, Layla, Kathy, and everyone who's gone before me. Right now, what we're going to do is give some attention to some of the initiatives that various groups of villages or different villages have done throughout this year. We just thought here at the beginning of the new calendar year, it would be a good time to do something of a status report on some ideas that have been brewing out there. So here's what we thought we would do. Take 5 topics, spend about 10 minutes on each topic. It may allow a little bit of time for questions, but remember, we will then go into breakout rooms where we can explore these topics and ask more questions of our speakers more in depth. So if you don't get your question asked here in this next 50 minutes, you'll have an opportunity later. So you'll see here what the 5 topics will be that we'll talk about today. And this will be the order in which it's presented. So I'm going to now ask Pazit Aviv from Montgomery County to talk about the work that's been done up to this point on the idea of a hub and spoke model. Go ahead, Pazit. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Could I share my screen if I needed to? Can you hear me?
Yes, you can share your screen.
Oh, okay. So quiet. I'm under the weather, so if I have a coughing fit, I'm going to go on mute. Apologies ahead of time. I'm prepared, but who knows what's going to happen. Give me 1 minute. Doggy.
Real life.
The joys of working from home. Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you all here. I have a little PowerPoint that I've used to talk to Montgomery County villages about this idea of hub and spoke. I'm going to just go through it very quickly and then give you an update of what's been going on. So bear with me, those who've seen some of that. I apologize, but I think I needed to bring everybody up to speed. So we're going to do this. And we're going to go from start. Next slide. Let's go here. There's so many things I can't even reach the slideshow. Can't reach slideshow, you have to forgive me. Let's see if I can do it this way. Oh, I know.
I think it's fine to show it like
no,
this.
No,
If
you know
you're
how
okay with it.
the Zoom takes over the top ribbon? I think I got this. There you go. I tricked them. Okay, so county villages, we have about 30 active villages, 6 developing. Most of them are down county. The size of membership is quite vary in range, as well as the catchment. Some are really small, some are very large. Most charge fees, but not all. And as you can see, the range of dues people charge are quite wide as well. The vast majority, majority do not have staff, but many do. And those who do have part-time contractors or very small limited staff. That's kind of like the bird's eye overview for the size and scope. This is numbers we have gathered for collective impact. I actually have a better one. We have just come out with our collective impact report, which is beautiful. I've gotten great input about that. And maybe Wave, I'm going to share that with you. You already have it, Mary Jo. We can maybe upload that to Wave website at some point and promote that to all membership, because we wanted to demonstrate the scope that with very little funds, relatively speaking, villages have very strong performance and a level of activity. So when we looked at the past few years, it's been both a source of pride and success as well as challenges. People really did, and you all know that we've switched to online. We have adapted to certain COVID activities, and I think we've proved the mettle and our village's ability to be nimble and responsive to crises and what happens when you have networks in place. So I think that there's no doubt in everybody's mind that villages are a strong and a force to reckon with in the community, and that we need to do everything in our power to ensure their growth and success. But alongside that, people have been talking a lot, and I think you have seen that in the topics Mary Jo had mentioned in the conference, that there are some challenges around leadership succession, around funding and financing, recruitment of volunteers and members, and the desire to grow as well. And so we've started looking at different ways, sort of out of the box type thinking of solutions of what we can do. Last year, we've invested, Montgomery County had supported any villages in the county that wanted to do board development or strategic planning with a consultant. We covered the cost, those we could afford. Some did more than we could afford, but most villages who received support from us to consult with a specialist in the world of nonprofit management. And the input we got from that is that it was lovely, thank you very much, but didn't really solve the problem, that the problem still persisted. And so then we kind of opened up the scope and said, okay, what other ways can we think about supporting villages in a way that is more effective? And so the hub and spoke idea surfaced, and we didn't know enough. We knew it was out there and that there was some villages who were doing it, but we didn't really know what they were doing. So Betsy Carrier, I don't know if she's here on the call or not, had volunteered to help me conduct a systemic interview of 7 villages who define themselves as hub and spoke. And the definition is a nonprofit organization that uses its nonprofit status to support several communities and has some form of integration of operational support between the hub organization and then the communities that are leaning in it for support. So Montgomery County Villages helped us structure an interview. So they asked all the questions they were curious about, and we went out on an interview adventure and spoke with all 7 villages across the country. And I have to say, they were incredible. I really appreciate the generosity of time, the honesty, the sharing of information. All those 7 communities have generously shared with us. It was really a very exciting research project, and I haven't done those in a while, so it was kind of fun. The report was written and submitted. I believe most of you have access to it, whether it is through Wave or V2V. If you don't have the report and you want to read it, let me know. I will share it with you. It does not include documents that were shared with us because we promised to be confidential. Some of those documents are quite sensitive. And so we are using it for the process of developing a concept, but it's not for public consumption. If, however, you do want to see a particular document with the permission of the village that had shared with me, I'm happy to do that as well. I'm going to show you a little bit of a slide, a survey that villages helped us in kind of conceptualizing where they're at in terms of this, their attitude toward the hub and spoke. And this survey was conducted before we've submitted a concrete proposal, and I'll show you where we are in the timeline. And still stop me in terms of time. I don't want to hog everybody's time. So as you can see, most of the concerns around leadership succession, member and volunteer recruitment, but some are concerned with financial sustainability and expanding services. And I want to say there were 20 villages that answered this survey. For those of you who don't know what a hub and spoke is, as I've said, alluded to it, there's a nonprofit organization that defines itself as the hub. It provides various level of technical and operational and financial support to community organizations that are sort of a part of it, and yet they're standalone. So the idea is that each village becomes a chapter and retains their name, their identity, their autonomy around activities they engage in the local level. But the great asset of a hub is that it reduces redundancy, increases efficiency, and helps some villages with capacities they might not otherwise have when operating autonomously. And so when you see different spokes and different hubs, they have approached that question in so many different ways. But when you speak with them, many of them in hindsight, many say that they really wish they had done the startup, so laying out of the hub a bit more systemically, and not do like a piecemeal approach, because sometimes that piecemeal approach was detrimental to then changes being made later on.
Let's need about 3 more minutes.
Yes. So we talked about the advantages. I don't want to repeat, but there are a couple of things that I didn't mention, and I want to make sure that you see that. One of the things we've heard from villages who did use this model is that the hub has greatly enhanced their ability to fundraise, because as you know, we all have small organization and it's so much work to write grants, to report on them, to engage in a systemic fundraising activity. But having a concerted effort for fundraising, which then benefits everybody, is a huge boon. And I think we are very excited about the possibility of doing something in that. We like the idea of standardizing some records so that we can then report on them more efficiently. And we can have the economy of scale. And one of the things that I'm most excited about is the hub's ability to provide a ready-made structure for new communities, especially diverse communities who want to start a village and might not have capacities. So it has an equity lens of providing that support to a great extent to those communities who could use it. I'm not going to focus on these as much because I have not so much time. But you can get this PowerPoint from me later on if you want to. Villages are concerned around autonomy. So a lot of the communities we talk about is saying, well, this sounds like a really neat idea, but I don't want to get to the point that I give up some of the autonomy and then things are not done in the way I like them to. So we have a lot of work in ensuring that any structure we create takes into consideration everybody's concerns and needs. The variability in fees, and that question is yet to be solved. There are lots of thorny issues along the way. There is no doubt in my mind that we are not going to be able to serve everybody's needs, but I hope that we start with those who are coming to the table and interested. So where we are in this process, we did present the survey results, which you've seen some of it. We've completed the report. We have set up a meeting when we discuss things, and now we're in this sort of process of considering how we're going to do this. There is a writing group that is working on a proposal. Originally, we were going to have a meeting in January with a village that had gone through the process of joining a hub and spoke model after they had been independent villages for a while. But it seemed like this process is still in the works and they don't feel comfortable sharing things while still in it. It's not an easy topic for them to share, but I've gotten a lot of back-end stories. So soon we're going to convene. The next step is to convene another meeting with interested village and present two options. The Whiting Group wants to not move ahead before we get input from villages about the different options that we have in mind. And we plan to complete the proposal in the next month or two and then start getting funding for it and see who really wants to throw their name in the hat to become a part of the hub and spoke. And I'm done.
Wow, well done, Pazit. That was an impossible job I gave her because this is a very rich report and there's been a lot of work put into this. So thank you, Pazit. And again,
Happy to share.
questions can be asked at the breakout. So thank you so much, Pazit. Our next topic, and actually, you know, one of the advantages of a hub and spoke model is standardizing records and results. And that's a great segue into the next topic. And so I'm going to ask Judy Berman and Scott Price to lead our next 10 minutes or so in talking about the work that they've done in trying to standardize research and data for our collective advantage. And that's another heady topic. So let's dive into it. Judy and Scott, take it away.
Thank you so much. Scott is, I'm speaking on behalf of Scott. Scott's here, but he's got an upper respiratory issue that's making it difficult to speak. So he's going to save his voice for only those things that are super important. So he's allowing me to kind of cover it, but I hope he'll jump in. You know, I don't need to jump in. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. And I also need to find my, yeah, the way it does this, it makes it really hard. Slideshow. Okay, are folks looking at the slide that says update of village services? Is it, yeah? Yeah, okay. Basically, so we're going to just go through this real quick. I'm going to do a couple of slides on what the service taxonomy is for anybody hasn't heard this spiel before, and then talk about sort of where we are in relationship to the village network. It's really some really exciting developments. We did do a presentation at the Village to Village conference in October with results from 31 participants, 31 villages that use Helpful Village. There's been some issues with the vendors and we have a new process to talk about. We're starting to get data for that. So let me just go quickly over the process. So the idea is every village has a bunch of services that they offer, and every village conceptualizes them and names them, you know, sort of different things. And so the idea, oops, I didn't mean to go there then. So the idea is that with the taxonomy is that villages can call their services whatever they want. You know, they can call it mowing the lawn, or they can, you know, talk about shoveling the snow, and we give it a category of home maintenance outdoor, right? So it's not as precise, but it does allow the villages the autonomy to do what they do, you know, whether they mow the lawn or whether they call it gardening or, you know, whatever, and we can call it home maintenance outdoor. And similarly, you know, whether you call it a friendly call, a friendly visit, a check-in, you know, or whether you're doing it specifically in the hospital, we have a name for that. We call it wellness support, specifically an intervention into isolation. And so there's, you know, the name internal to the village and then a common category, which then allows us to combine the data among villages. This is a quick summary of the taxonomy for volunteer services specifically. Now we know villages do a lot more than just volunteer services. We're working on a service tax, an event taxonomy as well. But you'll see the sort of the major categories: transportation, independent support, wellness support. These have, what we've done is we've actually looked at the services of a number of villages and tweak these to make sure that everything can fit under these categories. And again, no village has to have all of these, but as long as the ones that you are doing can fit in here, then you are you can participate in the taxonomy. I see Scott raising his hand.
Judy, I can only see the first two slides. I can't see
Oh.
anything else. Am I alone in that?
No, you're correct, Scott. I was going to say the same thing.
How strange. All right, let me stop sharing and try again. All right. It says you can now see it. So can you now see similar services in common categories? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So this is what I was talking about. So as I was talking through this idea of mowing the lawn, gardening, yard maintenance, you can call it whatever you want. And, in some areas we've got snow shoveling, in other areas we don't. That's okay, because all of these are contributing to home maintenance of some kind, and particularly outdoor. And then we have a category for indoor. And similarly, whether you call these friendly calls, check-in calls, friendly visits, they all can be categorized as a wellness support and an isolation intervention. Of course, some things do more than one, have more than one benefit. And we just have to determine, which is the prominent. So this is the summary of the taxonomy for volunteer services. As you can see, it includes transportation, wellness support, house and home support, independent support, professional services, volunteer engagement, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. So far, we have found that all of the villages that we have worked with, and I think there's been up to 50 actually, that we have so far, and we were able to fit everything that they did into this taxonomy. Of course, there's a lot of things that are other, there are things that are combined, but they all seem to fit, which is good news. Now, probably the most exciting development, I think, since the last time we've spoken publicly about this, is that Village to Village Network has formally incorporated the taxonomy into their Village Impact Project. They are preparing, and Barbara, you can speak to this as well, but really setting themselves up to be the village data hub, and have adopted the taxonomy as a way to communicate what the villages do. There's a standing taxonomy meeting bi-weekly. There's a committee of the V2V network. It's chaired by a board member, and Barbara attends those too. So this is an active process. It's ongoing. Board members were briefed about the project, and Village to Village Network has taken over the negotiations with the vendors being the folks who provide the software, Helpful Village and Run My Village primarily. If another one developed, that could be integrated as well. So I just want everybody to see that this is what a report, this is the information, this is the data that we're collecting, basically. You can see there's no personalized data. We don't even have to use a village name, okay? So this can be as confidential as we want it to be. And the village, it shows what the description is, and it shows what the code is and the date of service, so that we can group things in time. We can pull a report from a particular time period. And then our next steps, we're reaching out to more villages. Our goal is to get 50 participating villages by September 2023. We do have a new data process, which makes it easier for villages that are not part of Helpful Village or Run My Village. We're working on that and getting that really shored up. We're developing participating villages into a user group so that we can, continue the dialogue among villages. And we're continuing to seek funding for the discrete elements of kind of building the, building the whole data framework. So this is, we'll go into more detail we have the session after. So I will stop there. And I don't know if people are allowed to ask questions now, or if that's for the follow-up session.
We could take like one question now, but that's pretty much all the time we would have. Thank you, Judy. If there's anything, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Well, let's just hold off then until the breakout, if that's okay.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Judy. So the next topic we're going to talk about is the tech coaching partnership that began when Silver Spring Village partnered with DOROT and really built a very valuable service for their members. And now more and more villages are signing on with this tech coaching partnership. It's been quite successful. So I'm going to ask Vanessa Rips to step up and talk about what brought you to this point and where you are now. And the timing is great because there is an interest meeting coming up in just a couple of days for those who are interested in. I'm sure Vanessa is going to mention that. So Vanessa, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Seal, for introducing me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Director of Volunteer Services at Silver Spring Village. And I have a second title now with DOROT as well, because as of July 2021, sorry, I'm a consultant with them, and my title is I'm a Central Administrator of the Tech Coaching Program at Villages. So we started with DOROT a year and a half ago, July 2021. I believe it was in Village to Village Network. Doug Gaddis, the Executive Director of Silver Spring Village, saw a article in their Village to Village Bulletin about the tech coaching program, and they asked if there was any villages who were interested. And Doug reached out and said we were interested. So in the fall, September, I think, we started talking with DOROT, the woman who was the director of their tech program. For those of you who don't know, let me go back a few steps. Sorry about that. DOROT is a nonprofit that was started in 1976 in New York City. The word DOROT is a Hebrew word, and it means generations. And it did start as both a service provider providing social services, but they provide programs and services to provide intergenerational and peer-to-peer social connections. That's who they are. And we thank you for those for Lynn who spelled it out. So our village started with them, as I said, in the fall of 2021. We had our first 5 volunteers, and Doug and myself joined their training to get our village members, our volunteers, to start volunteering as tech coaches. We are now, and in December 2021, we had our first tech coach session, and I will get into what tech coaching is in a minute. But as of now, we have 23 active learners, or as they like to call them, late tech adapters. We have no people who are waiting to be matched. We have 12 volunteers that are working in the program. We have completed 117 tech coaching visits. And each late tech adapter has had approximately, or an average of 5 visits. The range is from as little as 1 to as many as 12 or more. So what is tech coaching? It is a one-on-one visit with a volunteer on an ongoing basis to learn technology. We reached out, as I said, in fall of 2021, because Doug had realized as we were doing more and more Zoom over the pandemic, many of our members really weren't familiar with tech, and we were constantly trying to help them figure out how to do what they were doing. So the tech coach goes and meets with the late tech adapter for an hour to 2 hours to help develop the late tech adapter's confidence and enthusiasm with technology. Meetings can range from anything to how do I start a Zoom? How do I FaceTime my family? How do I post pictures? Really anything you can think about. DOROT has continued to train our volunteers, so we don't do our individual training. Our village does not, and there's no fee for participating in the program. I will also say to you that DOROT has been a phenomenal partner. They are extremely flexible. They are extremely open to any ideas, suggestions, changes, etc. that we have, and it works very well. As Seal said, in 2022, fall of 2022, with the summer, we reached out to a few more villages. Some were WAVE villages, and we also presented at the Village to Village Network. We have 2 new villages who have joined us this past fall 2022, and they're Arlington Neighborhood Village, sorry about that, and A Little Help, which is out in Colorado. So we're now 3 villages working with DOROT on this program. As a group, the 3 of us meet every other month, excuse me, just the administrators, to talk about how things are going and to bounce ideas with each other. And I will say, in our meeting last week, I said, you know, this is really good because there's so few of us that work with volunteers. We're doing our own little networking here. So I've been really impressed with that. There's also the idea that we're going to start in March of having the volunteers get together in a larger Zoom so that they can also work off each other and help each other through the process. Because just as much as each of us who are working with volunteers in our individual villages feel that we are alone, our volunteers feel that way as well. So we want to start creating a you're not alone, you're doing this with others. I'm going to cut it short here, though I will answer questions later. Actually, I will add a couple things, but I do want to say, as Seal mentioned, on Wednesday, the 25th at 3:00 p.m., we will be doing another intro program for those villages interested in participating. You don't actually start the program without signing an MOU, a memo of understanding with DOROT. And the partner expectations, we're really only expecting maybe 12 to 15 volunteer members, who are late tech adapters, maybe 10 trained active volunteers. Each partner is expected to do their own recruitment of both groups. They're also expected to do their own matching. There's data collecting and monthly reporting that DOROT requires. And there's a survey that we each need to do with each participant, each late tech adapter, after their 4th visit and after their 6 months of doing the training. So that's all for now. If people have questions, you can ask now if Seal says, or later.
May I ask a question, Vanessa?
Sure.
I think, since we all know that volunteer recruitment can be a challenge, what would you say is the entry point to participate?
So each village, I think, does it differently. And I think I understand your question. First and foremost,
how many volunteers do I have to commit to the? Do I need to round up?
To start, you can start with 1. I mean, our village for volunteers, we had 4 or 5 the first time we went to training. And then beyond that, we had 2 or 3 or 1, it depends. Arlington and Colorado had a large amount in the beginning that decided they wanted to participate. And they then they're now down to smaller, but to start with whatever amount you can get, it could be as little as 1, it could be as many as.
How do we get the link to the January 25th meeting?
What you can easily do is give me your email address and I will send it to DOROT and DOROT will send it to you.
So let's put any folks who are interested, put that in the chat. And Vanessa, can you just collect it from the chat room?
Sure.
If somebody, okay, wonderful. Great. I hope we get a lot of participation on Wednesday. Our village will definitely be there.
I also see, I'm sorry, I also see somebody wrote date and time for village session to participate in the coaching. So the program again is Wednesday, the 25th at 3. For more information.
Great.
I have a question. Is it necessary to sign the MOU in advance to take part in that training?
Not at all.
Okay,
Not at
thank
all.
you.
Good question. All right, super. I think we do need to move on. I thank you for that, Vanessa, and thank you for the questions. I think this program has a lot of promise. Well, all right. So our next topic, and we are on schedule, that's good news, is I'm going to ask Denise Snyder from Foggy Bottom West End Village to talk a little bit about some success that the DC villages have had. They've always been such great collaborators in so many different ways, but this is a new twist on some leadership collaboration. And I would love for you to share with us, Denise, how that came about and how you make it work logistically and what the value has been. And go ahead and unmute, Denise.
Sorry about that. You'd think after all these years, everybody would realize they have to unmute, but some of us are slow. So thanks a lot, Seal. I would ask if you could give me like a 2-minute warning and then hit the gong when my time's up. So the executive directors of the DC villages, at this point, there are 13 of us. The executive directors have been meeting together on a monthly basis for many years. Basically, we share anything we have, whether it's a document, a policy, ideas. The group meetings provide a lot of mutual support among the executive directors. We've also, as a group, have helped new villages in the district get started over the years. A couple of the, well, let me just say in general, we have a very high level of trust among that group of 13. And are very open. I've never experienced anything quite like this. It's really amazing. If I have it and you need it, you get it kind of approach. One major thing that we've shared in common for about 5 years now is a grant from our area agency on aging, which is DACL, the Department on Aging and Community Living, is part of the district government. That grant has grown several times over the years that we've had it. It's now well over $800,000, and we decide how that's going to get spent among us. We've also been doing shared data collection across the 13 of us and have done some citywide outreach. About 2 years ago, the presidents also started meeting on a regular basis on their own, apart from the EDs. And basically, you know, some of the same ideas and rationales for why the executive directors do, basically wanted to, at a governance level, try to increase efficiencies and collaboration. About a year ago, a joint meeting of the executive directors and the presidents was suggested, and the desire to make that effective resulted in the decision to hire a consultant. Bear in mind, with 13 villages, if the EDs and presidents meet, that's 26 people in a meeting. So we recognized that we would need a strong facilitator to help design the meeting and to help us stay focused. The search started off this whole process collaboratively with a panel of executive directors and board presidents during the interviews and selecting somebody. The person we used was Myra Gosens, who is a nonprofit consultant extraordinaire. She's been working with us now for over a year, and I can't say enough about how invaluable having somebody in that role is. She is able to keep us focused on the big picture. You know, everybody kind of has a tendency to want to zero in on the, you know, details. And she is really good at keeping us pulled back and looking at a big picture strategic level efforts at this point. I'll say a little bit more about what the process has been since we started working with her, but just in general, some of the issues that we've had to deal with throughout this process is recognizing that we have differently structured villages. Some of our villages, most of the villages are staff. There are a few that are all volunteer. The relationship between executive directors and boards of director and the board of directors in any given village, those relationships vary. We ran into a number of folks feeling like we've already got this great collaboration among the executive directors. If it's not broke, why fix it? There were also some trust issues that had to be addressed over the time. It definitely used time of staff who were already busy and presidents who were already dealing with full plates. And of course, we also had to find funding to support. Myrna doesn't like the phrase facilitator. She considers herself a strategic guide. But we had to fund that position, and we also are now in the process of trying to find funding for a staff person who will staff the collaborative. Having said those issues, we've also had tremendous benefits by using the very collaborative process we've used to build a collaboration. And that is that the relationships are stronger between the EDs, between the presidents, and between the presidents and executive directors, because we're working together on common interests. We were able to bring the villages that were skeptical at the beginning along in the process. No one has thrown up their hands, at least not at this point, and said, not going to do that. But the most important thing is that when we end this process, we will be able to make a much stronger impact on older adults in the District of Columbia. And that makes it all worthwhile. In terms of doing the work, we've gone through we're in the fourth phase now, but we've gone through 3. In the first phase, we established a planning group, which was made up, I believe the original planning group was 6, 3 executive directors and 3 board presidents. It might have been 8, 4 and 4. We hired our strategic guide and started to design what the planning process would be. That was last winter, winter of 22. The second phase was called listening and discussing. And basically, we started off with a survey that was done, the same survey given to all village staff and all village board members. There were also some intense one-on-one interviews that were done with a subset of village staff and board members, and also the leadership of the Department on Aging and Community Living. All of that was then shared with the entire group, and we were ready to move on to phase 3. That started off with a visioning session where we basically talked about mission, vision, and strategic goals. And again, it was very much at the large picture level, not getting into the details of how we would do what.
2 minutes, Denise.
Yes, ma'am.
2 minutes. I'm just
thank you
fulfilling my duty.
Your timekeeper duty. We also established 4 working groups. Again, each group was made up of executive directors and presidents. The first group was looking at our vision, principles, and values. One group was doing an assessment of programs and service needs. One group looked at funding, and one looked at how we could coordinate this collaboration. We're now in phase 4, and we're still at the big picture level. We did have, a charrette, which was an all-day retreat, again, for all 26 of us, where we move forward in looking at all of these topics. Ultimately, we will end up with an operating plan, a strategic plan for 5 years, and some operating goals for the first year or 2. And my 2 minutes are probably up. It looks like Steele's taking a breath to tell me to stop.
You're doing great. We still have 30 seconds left. No, that sounds great, Denise. There's a lot more I know that you could say, and I hope that folks will consider questions to ask Denise about how you could get such a big group, a very busy group of people to focus on this, to take the time to focus on this. I know people are getting a little restless. I would like for us to turn our attention to our final topic. And I'm going to go ahead and say that after that, what we're going to do is I will be turning the program back over to Mary Jo briefly. From there, she will be letting folks know, or she'll turn it over to Mary Ellis, who'll give us instructions for getting into the breakouts. But I wanted to mention that the breakout for the topic that Denise has discussed is being rolled into the same breakout as the hub and spoke. There are a lot of the collaborative, excuse me, nature of those projects. We thought 5 breakouts would be a little bit too unwieldy, so we just want to let you know Denise's topic will be rolled into the Montgomery County hub and spoke room. So that's all, just a little housekeeping. Okay, I'd like for Lynn Golub-Rufrano and Diane Watson to talk a little bit about Stronger Memory. A lot of our villages have been taking part in Stronger Memory. These 2 villages were some of the first, and they've kept it going successfully since then, and it may have taken some tweaks to do that. And sometimes an initiative starts out one way and it ends up in a different way. My village takes part in Stronger Memory, and we've had some highs and lows. So I would really love to hear how they've been able to make it successful, and then we can talk it out a little bit more in the breakout. So, ladies.
Diane, I don't know if you'd like to start or if you'd like me to start.
Go ahead and unmute, Diane.
Go ahead, Lynn, you start first.
Okay, so for those, thank you. I'll go quickly. So for those of you who are not familiar, Stronger Memory is a weekly, it's a facilitated program for members who wish to improve their memory. Really what I have found in doing this, and by the way, my group started in May of 21. We are still going. We do meet weekly unless there's a federal holiday on a Monday. Some weeks they've wanted to reschedule. Some weeks they've said, let's just skip this week. I have a core group of 9 people who show up just about every week. We started with 12. A few of them have dropped out. The goal of Stronger Memory, of course, is to help people strengthen their memory. This is done by the participants doing regular exercises. It's a 3-prong approach to brain development and exercise. Like with any part of your body, you need to exercise it. The approach is that the members are supposed to do 10 minutes of writing, and that's a creative writing type of thing. Tell us about a time that first time you rode a bicycle, for example. And then 10 minutes of math problems, which tend to be pretty simple. Some members of my group have gone out and purchased off of Amazon. Most of the problems I think are, just basic subtraction, addition, division, and multiplication. Some of the members of my group have gone out to buy a more advanced workbook online, and they use that for their 10 minutes a day.
And forgive me for interrupting like this. Could I have a show of hands of folks here in the audience who already participate with Stronger Memory? Because that might help you to know, if there's a level of familiarity here in the discussion about what the content of it is. Are we okay? Sounds like a lot of people don't know.
Okay, thank you. And so the last 10 minutes, as I said, it's a 30-minute a day exercise regime. The last 10 minutes are spent reading out loud. And the reading out loud portion can be anything. It can be a newspaper. If somebody lives alone, I have one member who tells me her dog loves when she reads to him. So it really is just the exercise of seeing the words and saying them out loud. I have found from my members that they feel that there's definitely a difference when they do the exercises regularly. As you can imagine, with any exercise, you do see strengthening. Basically, the majority of them seem to feel it's helped with their organizational skills, that they're not forgetting as much in terms of when they write a list or when they go to the grocery store, or just in helping to stay more focused is what I've heard over and over. They also enjoy the check-ins. As I mentioned, we started May of 21. Those of you might remember that was the middle of the pandemic. That was the shutdown phase, and it was a way to connect. One of our members, the first summer we were running it, goes to Europe every summer, and no pandemic was going to stop him. And he actually zoomed in on a weekly basis from Europe to participate in this program. And I have found it has built connections amongst the members. We did have an in-person anniversary reception this past December. It was our first large get-together. And our Stronger Memory group just kind of was thrilled to see each other in person and to be able to connect. And by sharing, and I facilitate the sessions. And so when we have our weekly check-ins, I ask them to, not only how did you do, what did you find this week, but they each read their essay or one of their essays from the week aloud. And this sharing of the creative writing exercises has also helped form bonding among the participants. Diane, I don't want to take all the time.
You're doing good. Basically, I'm from the Spring Hill Community Village. We're an over 55 community. We started the program after the Village to Village conference in 21. Had a group there that was a group of 15. Got down by the end of the 12-week period. It was a 12-week program initially to participate. By the end, we were down to like 9. We started another group this past June, and that group is still going. Again, they were 13 to 15. We have a group of 7 that are tried and true and continuing to meet on weekly, varying numbers of various peoples at different times. As Lynn mentioned, those 3 activities, people had their favorites. And depending on who they were, that writing portion, it wasn't a matter of just writing. You had to literally write with your hand as opposed to computer or a typewriter. So for some people, that got to be a medical issue, be a carpal tunnel or arthritis or whatever, but you adapt. To this point in time, still meeting weekly. Understandably, in the beginning, we were focusing just on brain health, little tidbits of health about the brain, but so much of that is just general good health and wellness, proper sleep, proper hydration, all of this stuff. And out of the 3 exercises that Lynn verbalized, the one that people continue to voice is the best for them is the writing. It has instilled people writing with their grandkids or writing with other people, getting correspondence going. People verbalize that getting those letters means a lot, taking them out here and there and going over and reconnecting. Also, when some of the cues that you got for the writing, it prompted people to go into their memory. What was a famous favorite family activity that you did? And as people were writing, they connected with the person that had an impact on that particular memory. And for a couple of them started the communication again with the family member that got a little bit too busy. So it's been a good thing. And especially following COVID, one of the things that everybody highlighted was the fact that the socialization aspect, coming together weekly, was really, really important. Going back and getting the results, because we were part of the George Mason project, the results showed that for those people who participated and took the pre-interview at the beginning, before the 12 weeks, and at the end completing, there was improvement. But the greatest improvement was with those who had a little bit of cognitive deficits, one way or the other, whether it was diagnosed or just to recognize things that not diagnosed, but it was an improvement. And again, as Lynn mentioned, people verbalize that coming together and doing the activities. Again, they don't do all three of them all the time these days, but we do get together for the weekly, and the writing seems to be the thing that is the most followed. So it has been beneficial for everybody. And how am I doing, Seal?
1 more minute. I'm doing great.
Okay. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but one of the things in the very beginning of both groups, what we had to do is when we get together for the initial weekly meetings, people tended to say, oh, I had a problem with this, or a problem with that, or I couldn't get this. And you had to avoid the sense of this was a competition. We had to do better than anybody else in terms of time in getting the number of math pages done or how much writing it got done. The idea was to emphasize it's a thing for you are doing for yourself. You're not doing it for anybody else, and you're not trying to be in competition with anybody else. So I think that's it. And if there's any questions, I have my information in this chat, and feel free to get in touch. But it has been a good thing.
Great. Abby asked a quick question. Diane, are you still meeting on Zoom, or are you ever doing any in person?
We're in person. We were in person on the veranda outside initially, and then when we got in to do in-person things, we've been meeting in the clubhouse ever since.
I will say,
so is it effective on Zoom? I'm sorry.
We are still on Zoom.
Lynn is on Zoom still.
And you find that it's effective on Zoom as in your experience?
I do. We meet at 4 p.m. on Mondays. And so it's kind of the end of the day. It's before dinner. People don't need to drive anywhere or walk anywhere. For us, it has worked.
And in all honesty, any of the other Zoom meetings that we've had, as in here, you get to see people's faces. You get an idea if they're engaged with what everybody is saying. So I could see where Zoom would be as effective as in person, but there are those who really like the in-person networking better. So it's a personal thing, whatever works. The advantage of Zoom is you could have somebody in Timbuktu or really away from the campus and still participating.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think the other difference, Diane, is that most of your participants all live within the same community.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you both for giving us that update. I'm going to go ahead and turn this portion of the meeting over back to Mary Jo briefly before we go into the breakout rooms. And we are going to take a brief break before the breakouts, just to everybody can do what you need to do for just a few minutes. So Mary Jo.
Well, I want to thank Seal and her group for putting together really such a great panel. I was thinking that we might want to have almost each and every one of these participants sign up for a specific Zoom session at some point over the coming year. Thank you very much to all the participants. It was really very, very good. I just wanted to thank everyone for participating. Our high water mark today was 76 people participating. So I really thank you all and look forward to seeing you at other meetings. We will adjourn immediately at the conclusion of the breakout session. So this is my farewell to all of you, and thanks for coming. And now I'll turn it over to the wizard behind the green curtain, Mary Ellis.
Oh, I think wizard is a very generous term. So I'm going to open up the breakout rooms in just a second. And so you should see along the bottom of your screen the breakout rooms option. And if you click on that, you'll be able to see the 4 rooms, which are labeled by topic, and then you can choose which one you want to join. So you're not being assigned, you have to choose yourself. And then once you're in the room, if you'd like to switch and join another one, you have that option too. So you're totally free agents. To switch rooms, once you're in, you go to the leave meeting button, and then you'll have the option to either switch rooms or go back to the main session. If you need any help at any time while you're in the breakout session, you can also click on that little tab and press ask for help, and that will prompt someone to come and answer any questions. The facilitators, you should all have the ability to record. If you don't, just let me know, and I'll adjust your permissions. So
Mary Ellis, I don't see any breakout room listing at the bottom.
yes, I
click on
haven't
more.
started it yet. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, but
I was too busy talking.
But you have to click on more sometimes to see it.
Right. So they are now open. And yes, as Mary Jo just said, if depending on your screen size, it might not show up unless you click all the way to the right on the more option. But you should be able to move into your breakout rooms now.
Let's go ahead and take a break and reconvene at 11:15. How's that sound? 6-minute break?
5-minute
Okay.
break. Right?
See you there.